Well, hey there, young detectives. Let me ask you a massive, kind of mind-bending question to kick things off today. Do you think you are just as important to history as some famous, powerful emperor from hundreds of years ago? I mean, it sounds crazy, right? But hold on to your magnifying glasses because the answer is actually going to completely shock you. Welcome to this exciting explainer where we are going to crack the great history mystery, who really makes history. But real quick, before we open the case file, just a quick shout out. This explainer is produced by Waqas Amit Shah. He's an educator in AI agents and automation builder for educators, traders, and startups based in Karachi, Pakistan. Okay, let's dive right into the mystery.
All right, so here is our detective's map for today. We're going to look at the great history mystery. What exactly is history? Why does history matter? Hunting for history's clues, beware of tricky clues, and finally, tomorrow's history. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The Great History Mystery. Who is part of the story? Okay, so here is the ultimate showdown. On one side, we have Emperor Napoleon of France. You know, a guy who fought these huge battles and ruled a massive empire. And on the other side, we have a regular kid, just like you, maybe sitting at the kitchen table eating a bowl of cereal this morning. Now, if I asked you who belongs in history, it's super easy to just say Napoleon, right? Because, well, he's a famous ruler. And you might think a regular kid eating breakfast totally doesn't count because they're just an ordinary person living right now. But is that actually true? Are the famous guys literally the only ones making history?
Section 2. What exactly is history? The giant movie of real events.
To figure this out, we need to look at the real definition of history. History simply means the knowledge of past events. I want you to think about that carefully for a second. It includes all events by any person at any time. It includes the lives of everyone, not just the rich and famous ones. And you know what that means? That means the regular kid from our showdown, yeah, he is absolutely part of history too. Because history is just past events. So, the breakfast you eat this morning? History. The shoes you tied? History. The walk you took to school? It is all officially history. It's like a giant movie made of real events, and you are literally one of the main characters. It's not just about battles and politics, it's about you.
Section 3. Why does history matter? Our secret superpower.
So, if everything we do is history, why should we even care about things that already happened? Why does it matter? Well, prepare yourselves, because history is actually our secret superpower. There was this man named Norman Cousins, and he once said, history is a vast early warning system. What does that even mean? Well, think about a fire alarm. History helps us understand our modern world. By looking back at what people did in the past, we can see if their choices were, successful or if there were total disasters. It acts just like an alarm bell, an early warning system. If we learn how today's problems actually started from choices made 100 years ago, we can kind of predict the future. We can learn how to do things way better and, most importantly, how to avoid making the exact same mistakes that people in the past made. Now that is a serious superpower. Section 4. Hunting for history's clues. The detective's toolkit.
But how do we actually find out what happened in the past? Well, historians are basically time-traveling detectives. When they look at an old picture, they don't just stare at it, they interrogate it. Here's a quick peek inside their detective's clue checklist. First up, they look at writing style. Even just a tiny bit of text in the background of an old photo can tell us where in the world it was taken. Next, they look at clothes, hats, and shoes. Clothing styles change all the time, right? So a tall, weird military-style hat from the past is a huge clue. Then, they check if a photo is black and white versus color, which is a dead giveaway for how old it is. And finally, they look at poses. Think about it. People today are usually way more relaxed in photos. But hundreds of years ago, people had to sit perfectly still for a really long time for a painting or an early photograph, so they look super stiff. Literally every little detail is a clue.
Now, historians categorize their clues into two main teams. First, we have primary sources. These are like the golden tickets. They come straight from the exact time we're studying. We're talking about a 500-year-old diary, an old shopping list, a king's official orders, or even a tombstone. Second, we have secondary sources. These are made way after the time being studied. For example, a textbook or maybe a modern TV show about a historical figure like Muhammad Ali Jinnah. In fact, think about this. Right now, this very explainer you are watching, it's a secondary source because we are looking back at history from today.
Okay, now my absolute favorite type of primary source is an artifact. An artifact is simply an object made by people in the past.
Imagine actually holding 2,000-year-old Roman coins in your hand, or looking at this ancient Greek vase with a painting of a chariot on it. Those are time-traveling clues that tell stories across thousands of years. But artifacts aren't just ancient, dusty things you find underground. Are you ready for your mind to be blown? Your very own school building is a massive, modern artifact. Even the history book sitting on your desk right now is a 21st century artifact. People in the future will literally look at them to learn about how you live today. Crazy, right?
Section 5. Beware of tricky clues when sources lie.
Hold on, detectives. We have a dramatic plot twist. Because guess what? When sources talk, sometimes they completely lie. Flashing red lights on this one, everyone. Warning, fake clues. As your early warning system, I gotta tell you that some sources give wrong or biased information. Look, just because something is written down or painted doesn't mean it's 100% true. Sometimes writers just really dislike someone and write untrue things about them. Or artists exaggerate things to make people look way better than they actually were. Historians always have to think carefully before trusting a source.
Let's look at a totally hilarious example of this historical trickery. Step 1. A really powerful king pays an artist a ton of gold to paint his portrait. Step 2. The artist wants to keep his job and, maybe keep his head attached to his body, so he decides to please the king. He paints the king looking incredibly muscular, super handsome, and way taller than he actually is in real life. Step 3. Hundreds of years later, future historians dig up this painting and get the totally wrong idea. They look at it and think, wow, this king was the most handsome, heroic guy ever. And that right there is exactly why we have to examine sources carefully and ask, who made this and why did they make it?
Section 6. You are tomorrow's history. Closing the case.
All right, detectives, we are officially closing the case. We started off by asking if you were as important to history as a famous emperor, and I love how John W. Gardner put it. History never looks like history when you were living through it. Think about it. Right now, you're just doing homework, hanging out with friends, eating breakfast. It just feels normal. It doesn't feel like history. But everything you do today is literally building the history of tomorrow. Every action, every new idea, every school building we leave behind will be studied by the detectives of the future.
So I want to leave you with one final, exciting question to solve for yourselves. What history did you make today? Remember, every single one of you is a part of the grand story of the world. Thank you so much for joining me on this amazing investigation. If you loved cracking this mystery with me today, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so we can uncover even more incredible secrets of the past together. See you next time, history makers.